Welcome to Raging Recaps. Sit back, relax, grab a drink as we tell you some of our stories.
Welcome back, everybody, to another night of adventure, storytelling, and all the other fun stuff like our party never being able to just keep a straight face into an introduction. You know, this is what we really come to the Raging Rolls for. So, thank you all for keeping up with us.
Mom! I'm playing with my friends!
Oh, now
you can go now.
The campaign's over, we really can't.
The timing was perfect because we've just gone live, so the whole world.
Well, your wife
there
is
forever
your
now.
wife is the big bad.
I want to see that on a shirt. I don't care if you're playing with your friends.
Oh, go to work. So that happened.
That happened indeed.
Wonderful, wonderful. So,
Professional.
tonight we are.
Where's the auto mute on this stupid thing?
Yeah, you got yourself a good situation there, Jess.
Oh man.
Not sure you can auto mute your wife. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that's problematic.
Wait, was
That's
that a
gonna get you in
one? Yeah,
trouble.
that's a one.
All right, so tonight we are spending the time to have a look at what happened, what went wrong, what went well, and hopefully spending some time answering some burning questions from both the stream and getting some questions from the chat, as well as some questions that the party has had over the last year of us having been streaming. So I'm gonna pass it over to who wants to take the reins of the question moderation.
I'll try and coordinate some questions for everyone.
Well
Try and
done.
kick it off.
I can help out.
What would we say? We've been through this campaign since January 2020, on and off a little bit. It's been, and then pretty well full on since about mid last year. So about 15 months worth of encounters, role play, dice rolls, all sorts of madness. What's your highlight? What's your the moment that made you go, that was awesome? I'm gonna go to you first, Xander. Dave Alexander.
It's going to sound weird, but the thing that I thought was this is awesome was Zim's disappearance, which I'm sure we'll come to later. But I was blown away. It was totally unexpected. For me, that was something that was, just very interesting, very cool.
Why? What I mean, yeah, I think we can all agree that was a pretty interesting moment. What about it? Was it the
Oh my
the
god.
unexpected or the means of his
It was
disappearance or
the bluntness of it. 1 second I had a character in a story doing things, right? Winchester Shield on a roll, crushing
Sexy
it.
fireballs, left, right, and
Sexy
center.
fireballs, hatred going on between, Red and Zim, this thing that hadn't been resolved. Moments earlier he'd had me held upside down and I was threatening a fireball at him. And then there was just this thing that happened. He was gone. And it was just the finality of it. There was a quick chat on the side with the DM. And there was just this moment of that happened. This character that I poured, 10, 12, 13 months or something into was it. Done.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was just this awesome moment of that has happened. It took all that time, but it happened.
But was it a moment of, okay, I'm excited to see what happens next, or like a devastation?
Well,
devastation.
it was both a devastation and an excitement, like the first PC, right, to go down, and just this feeling of like totally unexpected. The one thing I expect from this group is the unexpected, and that was the other thing I expected to happen.
Oh my god, right.
Does it feel any better that he's not dead?
No, but I know where he is. So
I know.
It doesn't help.
But does it help
Sure.
knowing that Zim is still Zim and is disconnected from the party?
Yeah.
But he's not dead.
Just
He's not retrievable. So, maybe he'll appear in some sort of battle royale or something, but he's not coming back for a storyline.
for the benefit of the people viewing at home and following along, DM of Doom, do you want to give us the 30-second recap on the fate of not where is Zim now, but what happened to Zim?
Sure.
Yes, I
So,
need a recap.
So, you guys were stuck in your time loop in the city of refuge as you were slowly trying to figure out what keeps you coming back to life and what has happened in this hour period that effectively causes the world to end each time and causes you all to wake up again at the beginning of the hour, trying to come up with a reason and a way to put an end to it. Otherwise, you'd be stuck in that loop till the end of time. And it was finally in that last loop that you'd all come in contact with the cup. And you found the cup, and each of you had been tempted uniquely by the cup in a way that obviously allowed you all to go back in time and go to a future that was really what you all had been after. Each of you had been offered a way to save loved ones and to maybe get to a place where you'd have control of the situation, not have lost a mentor and that type of thing. And one by one, you all valiantly, withstood the offer. And,
Let it go, Indiana.
and that was pretty cool, right? Like I expected, and there was a moment of quite intense, I guess, wondering on all of our parts, like what happens if somebody says yes to this temptation. And I mentioned it before that had any of you chosen to keep the cup, it probably would have in its own way been the end of the campaign. The world that you now know would have ceased to exist. And that was kind of the stakes we were playing at, and you'd all managed to sort of navigate through that really well, or at least to your character's best ability. And it was just in the escape as you were going through the mine carts out of the tunnels to try and escape the bubble before the purple worm who had been trapped in the loop that would destroy the town each day. That the cup at that point was being held on the top of a lance, and it was being balanced by the chancellor, and losing the constitution save of keeping that up there nicely balanced while this cup was going on. It started to slowly fall, and I remember that moment, and that the first failure, I was like, oh no, there's no way that this ends well. And yeah,
I was just gonna say, like, there was a few opportunities there, and like fair and square failed successfully, repeatedly.
Was it three failures?
I gave you guys three separate checks to catch this cup or like avoid this cup, and I think what you ended up rolling, was it a nat fail into the cup at the end?
A nat fail
like
to finish it off.
Low.
Yeah.
Yeah, nat fail.
On the side, I ran it.
I can't do anything to that. Like that's. The dice have sealed your fate.
Yeah, and that's it. I rolled a bunch more times afterwards, like after the actual critical ones, and I just like kept rolling under 5. I was like, this is not meant to be. Just not meant to be.
And I think like that was kind of the cool piece. Like I was like, all right, I don't want to decide what happens here. I kind of want the fate of your character to kind of be decided on what happens by the cup, and we rolled then, and what the result of that in the story is obviously your character just disappeared. It vanished, and for most of the party and for your characters, that's the end of
That was
Zim,
it.
right? That's the empty space, the empty small space that was once occupied by your mage friend.
He did go out on
And
a
Bear was
high
never the
note,
same
though.
again.
We did sacrifice for the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when Redhelm picked up the cup after we all had those visions and stuff, thinking that it was safe, he touched it. We went into this we saw this brief glimpse of an alternate future, or alternate timeline, and Zim used that rewind time thing to make sure that didn't happen. So
Oh, that was
Yeah.
beautiful.
that was so good.
For that same the same goodwill that you were able to achieve to just kind of be gone with the one fatal mistake was kind of like bittersweet, you know.
On the
Sorry,
on
Jez.
the topic of things that are not meant to be, I think one of the other key moments of their campaign is the Xanathar death.
Yes.
It was meant to
Oh,
be
yeah.
for flair and a bit of a gimme. And I don't know, Robin, if you caught the whole intent there. As we've done enough damage to Xanathar, and then you announce that he's bamfing out, and so the request gets made to look. Can we? Because I was trying to prep a little maneuver, and was going to be robbed of the turn. I'm like, well, look, I still want this to happen, but at this point, Xanathar's bamfing. We've lost this battle. At least we get to live, but he's going to bamf away. Can we do this? And you let it happen, and rather than it just being for the flair, you've let the dice continue to speak. And as a result, Rod or Bear's gone and rolled a crit at one point, and then just done
it was a crit.
and
It
he
was
just
okay. So it was
dumped
the
a
last.
shit
It was the
damage.
last charge of his broken, overpowered poison dagger, and he rolled a nat 20 with it, with the last attack of opportunity, and I think he was hasted at that
He
point
was
as well.
hasted,
So it was just
yeah.
the perfect storm for mass damage, and
Just shot yourself in the foot with that one. Not only did you let the gimme happen, but you also gave Rod an absolute game-breaking weapon. But
It
look,
was
that's a key
so
moment of the
beautiful.
campaign of this.
exactly.
Absolutely, if we're on the Waterdeep campaign, that's when this thing just goes. Yep. Out goes the story.
It's a
We're in-
stage right.
Yeah. And I think that really sums up the stream in general. As a special
Just
moment of the
like that.
campaign, it's those conscious decisions of, yeah, we're deviating, and let's take an absolute hard right.
But that's to me what makes D&D so cool is it's not a story that I'm writing to force you guys to just walk through. It's sort of this collaborative story where you guys really do have a very tangible way of affecting what happens. And I think there's a few key situations where you guys have already highlighted that I wasn't the storyteller there, right? You were all deciding the fate of your own outcomes and your own destinies inside of the story, and I think that's what's fun to me about being a DM for you all, is that you guys really take the world by its horns and you make what you want out of it, and that's what makes it so much fun for me to come every Thursday. It's I don't necessarily know what's going to be the end of tonight, and I'm looking forward to obviously continuing that as we progress into campaign 2.
Just as a theme on that, I think I understand where you're getting at if you don't know what's going to happen. I just want to take this back to one of our acting sessions when we were in the mines of some point, the point where I think Zim ended
Was
up with
this
a red gem or something like that. No,
Oh,
a different.
okay.
Oh no, yeah, the mine where your character Hinza completely obliterated a bunch of characters. And I remember there was a point there where the party encountered some blacksmith dwarves,
Yeah.
and straight away we're like, we'll just kill them. And you're just like, why you guys want to kill every NPC I chuck in front of you? And that sums up.
Oh,
15 months.
That's right. And Sue picked up the red gem. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, that
Oh, the
was still
shorties.
a little plot thread we never got to.
Yeah, we just haven't got to you yet.
I miss
Exactly.
Hope so much. I loved Hope. Great. And
She was
Impy,
tasty.
Well, let's bring it
Can't
back
eat
to our
your
Waterdeep
daughter.
campaign. That's where we are right now.
Back to Waterdeep. That's so in line with our stream anyway. Hey guys, it's the Waterdeep finale. Let's talk our gig.
It's the Waterdeep
crap.
finale in Baldur's Gate. Let's talk about our kink. No worries.
That's half the course.
Dan, same question for yourself. Your favorite highlight, not moment, or your highlight from the campaign?
I gotta say, like Zim with the rewind was clutch, but also because I have a soft spot for mechs, Super Ultra Mecha Dragonzord in Waterdeep, defending the city. That was boss moment. It was like the inner child in me was just like, yes.
That
It was such a
pretty
cinematic
awesome.
moment. I think Mark was saying it's just like the flipping between this battle and that battle and how it all ties together, and yeah, that was pretty huge.
Yeah, so what we were doing, we were doing one full round in one combat scenario,
Yeah,
and then
fighting.
jumping back to it. Yeah, it felt cinematic.
Yeah, like what?
Oh,
Fighting.
it's something like as a DM, you kind of just sometimes just try these things. Like, nowhere in the manual have I read about allowing two simultaneous battles to occur and having your characters like be controlling multiple like players. And yet that moment was just like, because I didn't expect you guys to make a Mechazord that night. Like it was just such a cool idea, and I was like, absolutely you do
Rule of
that. You
cool in
can
action.
Make it a
you
Mechazord.
combine these statues in a way that makes them like one superpowered being. I was like, hell yeah.
I got a challenge for you, DM of
And,
Doom. So one thing to do in interlacing sequences. Now it's going to be like DM of Doom 24 edition. we're on the clock. Everything's happening in 24 hours.
Oh jeez.
Imagine that, a campaign over 24 episodes.
24 episodes, 1 hour.
Yeah.
Oh.
That would be so intense.
Besides the fact that would be a huge endeavor, but it would be cool.
So a bit of context on this battle, on this Super Ultra Mega Dragonzord. What was the situation there? This was straight after we had destroyed Xanathar.
Yeah, so you guys had taken out Xanathar, allowing the underbelly of Waterdeep, as we described it back then. There was a bit of a power vacuum. Both of the other players who you never really got to meet were in their own way trying to see some of the power, but because of that weakness and that vulnerability, it was a time when the orc chieftains had sort of been waiting for it, and they seized the opportunity at a bit of the chaos to actually launch a full-scale invasion of Waterdeep. And it was the killing of Xanathar that eventually set off the domino effect that allowed that to happen. And it was in that moment where you all saw this shadowy demon begin to coalesce above the city. And that's when the Blackstaff, which was the sort of main leader of the mages of Waterdeep, sort of brought all those mages together to revive these ancient statues that hadn't been in use for probably many centuries up until that point. And it was in that moment where you as a party, though, were trying to get to the cause of it. So although the Shadow Demon was one part of the puzzle, something was bringing that Shadow Demon into play. And you had been given a hint, I believe, Zim, at the point that because you were talking to the Nature Guard that was sort of inside of Waterdeep. You were part of the guild there, and they basically calling for your help. They got you to use the vines to get over there. But it was in the moment of trying to escape a city at war, and that led to that beautiful moment of obviously the party coming to terms the first time that their magic is not victimless. And I think Red Helm was definitely conflicted about the the ethics behind fighting in sort of such a built-up area.
And the nature god nom-nomming on the party, on the family that was killed by Zim. Yep.
Did he actually eat them though, or did he just
No,
turn
he
them into
just
trees?
he just
You turn them into bark.
like
He
dryads.
nom-nommed
They're
them.
just
He-
dryads.
He nom-nommed them. Okay.
Till
That's
100
how he-
years
that's
from
how he
now,
powers
someone
it.
comes along with a wood chipper and just goes,
Yeah.
and they get laid in the children's playground for a while.
And if I remember correctly, the shadow
Canon,
demon
Dave.
thing's name was Zordouche.
Zoldush.
Zoldush.
Zordog, or how he
Zordog.
currently likes to be referred, Ren 2.0.
Oh, snap.
He just likes to steal stuff, that guy.
All you gotta do is find Zim and you'll surely be able to get that sorted out, right?
Zim is
If only. All right, same question. So we've covered a bit of Zim's disappearance in the refuge loop. We covered Xanathar's death, and then also the siege of Waterdeep. Ahinza, what would you
What?
say would be your highlight from the campaign? The most memorable moment.
I think it's because for me, obviously, I haven't been much, so I just think back to like the little moments. So like, I remember when we first started the campaign in that disgusting room, right? And like Robin's all like, "Oh, so we all started in tavern." I'm like, "Nope, I am not sitting at a tavern." He's like, "Well, shit, already the bar's not doing what I wanted to do." And I felt like that just like started the whole campaign. And then the next time we're in that random house, and like my original character kept getting thrown as a way for checking traps, and I got stuck in a blob as well. Like that's what happened. So my character, she just did stuff because I remember we all rolled terribly, so none of us were actually smart other than Zim. Like,
Yep.
Zim was the only smart character. We're all really stupid. So I was like, yep, I'm fine. I want to be the leader. Let me go in front. Hence the reason we didn't check for traps. We kept getting caught. And so I think that was when Bear decided to use me as a way to check traps. So every time we were in it was the underground passage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
we
being
were in
cautious.
the sewer. And he would
Because you guys,
destroy my
that was the
character.
first time you guys saw the Stone of Galore, actually.
Yes, yes.
and
Yeah.
the mind flayer and the
Yeah.
fucking little
Yeah.
brain legs.
Little,
and
little
it took-
cube brain pet.
And it took 30 minutes for Robin to draw that map to do initiative. And we were all just sitting there waiting, like,
It was fun.
Hey, don't knock Robin's maps. They're amazing.
No,
That
no,
They're
was
the
in
best
person.
maps.
I'm way more effective online.
Can we sell
But-
Robin's maps out on the merch store?
Oh,
Right.
We'll
100%.
do
Time for a
Patreon. I'll upload my like high-res 4K maps.
We need the map where we fought
Can we-
Xanathar on a shirt.
Yeah. Or can we sell it as an NFT, right? It's got to be worth
Oh,
about
yeah,
3
yeah,
million as an
100%,
NFT,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Surely. We'll get Rod on that for us.
But yeah, like, little things like that. And obviously, when we killed Xanathar, because, like, I don't think any of us were expecting that. We just all happened to, well, not us, Bear just happened to roll really, really well. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the
That's what it's all
entire
about.
campaign, that sort of little things, like, I didn't even think about that till we spoke about it at the end of the camp, like, after we finished last week. I was like, oh my god, yeah, the house, like, we had rented this entire house to play D&D. That was fun. It was really
pretty
pretty.
It was an art gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're artists.
We
All
were
Oh,
class.
and
Well,
it
that's-
was
All
like
class.
Performance
dance
art.
class that was happening,
Yeah.
and then they're like,
That-
Robin's like, this is really uncomfortable because I'm walking around and there's like children dancing and I'm just here.
Well, like,
that
and-
was,
and
I thought that was
the-
hilarious.
The people that own
That
that
started
place,
the
they
march.
thought we were going to have a massive party
Oh
and
yeah,
trash the place. And like, no,
That was
we're
so
going to sit at a table and roll dice.
It was so hard to try and tell them what we're going to do. No, we're going to
Yes.
sit around. We're going to tell each other a story. It's
We're
like,
gonna roll. We're
It's
gonna
like,
roll
what are you
plastic
talking about?
polyhedrals.
Yeah, we had to give them a serious security deposit.
Yeah.
And we're like, no,
Yeah.
we're going to be getting this back. Because, yeah, the worst thing we're going to do is someone's going to spill a Coke.
Yes, Coke.
And that place had a microwave. We could make microwave popcorn. It was incredible.
we
Yeah.
did.
It's amazing.
No, we did because I ordered. No, because who was it? They got me an entire box of popcorn, microwave
I
popcorn.
bought you.
Remember?
I bought you popcorn.
Yeah,
there,
you bought it, and that was my dinner.
So, favorite moments of the campaign in general.
Mhm.
What about favorite moments for your characters in said campaign? Dan.
Dan, yes, my character, yes.
Red Helm. He only responds to Red Helm, guys.
Oh, just on.
Just
Jason.
There is no
Jason.
Jason. There is only
Jason.
Red Helm. Yeah, no, for my character, I would say, like, learning to like trust the party, because the only person that he knew when we started was Steve Evans, the Minotaur fighter.
That's always asleep.
That's always asleep. Like,
he
After
sleeps
we
more than
s-
Zim's brother.
true.
Wait, I didn't get
Steve's
it.
brother's gonna be asleep forever.
Yes, his
Alright.
brother never wakes up.
No, that moment where we sat down and everyone talked about their backstories, like, in character, and we found out about each other. That, for me, I like that moment because it went from like, oh, we're just having like a lot of fun to like a little bit more serious, like, especially for the characters, and like kind of like connected with everyone's character. I found that really touching and a beautiful moment in an otherwise chaotic campaign.
I think it was coming hot off the tails of the Xanathar death anyway, because it was like, well, if we've butchered this campaign, guys. But that's where
Robin's face. I have screenshots.
That was so
it was so off rails at that point that it really actually allowed us to go, we've got characters, we've got backstories. They might be more important than the MacGuffin that's driving this story along in the first place, being the Dragon Cache, and just pause and explore it a little bit more.
Yeah. And I found it to be like, it was really nice. Like, I think of that, like, when I think back at the campaign, I'm like, yeah, that's probably the standout moment for my character. Yeah, found out the Claymore, and everyone had freaking awful backstories, and then Soraya,
Except me.
so Soraya was just like, oh yeah, no, like, I want my sisters are mean to me.
No, they baby me. They baby me.
And that got really resolved at the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, resolved.
What about you, Mark? What was Claymore's moment?
I wrote down some clutch favorite spell moments, because I often find that the spells are when you're trying to be creative. So the first time when we finally get we got the deed to the Winchester, suddenly a journalist shows up, and I'm not sure what we were meant to be doing with it, but
Oh yeah.
the idea was we were going to get a write-up for the Winchester Shield, and it was going to be promotional. And in order to make the place seem a little bit more lively, brought him into a compelled duel, and he was
Yes.
forced to fight, but was never going to do any damage. So sort of slap around a bit and just avoid him, and then drop it. And I just love Robin's take on it, that the guy basically bolted. Red Helm had to chase him down, bribe
Yes.
him, and in his words, don't write anything bad about the Winchester.
Yes, I
Yep.
remember that.
And then later on, we pick up a newspaper, and there's the full-page spread, and it's just blank. There was a couple of other clutch hold persons, and that became a bit of a running
Yes.
joke as well, but I like the strategic nature of it. But I think my favorite creative spell moment was Bear setting fire to the Winchester and thinking, well, great, we're going to lose the pub that we've not really had to work that hard to keep, but
Yeah,
The
it's
correction.
very
this
hard.
thing is going up in flames.
Put no effort into keeping.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
excuse you. We had a running trade of carrots and rotten carrot pumpkin
Yes,
aphrodisiacs.
carrots.
Thank you.
and we drank
No
our
effort,
supply.
Yeah.
But
I
just
liked
the
which we
thunder
stole
wave
from somebody down the road.
Yes, the Thunderwave was very good.
as an attempt to extinguish the flame. That was just sort of my favorite just looking at the spells options and going, what can I do here? Okay, I'll create that sort of blast of, create that vacuum and the flame should go out. I think what wasn't anticipated then was the fact that Thunderwave still did a shit ton of damage to the pub.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
Leveled the place.
I liked that, like, when the fight was happening between Bear and Dennis, half of the party was just like, yeah, no, and grabbed drinks and went out and sat on the sidewalk.
No,
just waiting.
There was a whole person mixed in there too.
Yeah,
Because we're like,
yeah,
no, Bear,
that was-
Bear, no, whole person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Dennis decided to use the opportunity to just like triple shank him with a broken bottle. And I think that was what tipped him over the edge. It was like, nah, I'm burning the joint.
Yep.
No, that one was like, and I think Bear eventually got his revenge with the small puzzle box that he left for you all in the end. That got you into the puzzle realm that was sitting on top of the golden dragon cage.
I like that Bear's killing Xanathar, like that, and the fact that he was the Crown Prince of Waterdeep and so proud of it, etc.
Oh.
I love that came to bite him in the ass in the final episode. And what we thought, well, yeah, super well done to Robin. This looked like it was a Red Helm follow-on episode.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Red Helm. It was an ambush on Bear because of that. So it's that coming semicircle set of consequences that are put in motion from you initiate something. Hold tight, guys. It may bite you in the ass later down the line. I'm looking forward to those moments in the next campaign.
I'm looking forward to your note taking then, Mark.
Yeah, please.
Oh, I remember.
What do you do?
No.
What do
Robin, when something like that happens, you just like I'm going to screw them with this later. In 6 months' time, come back
honestly,
to this.
everything's in my head. I don't take
Wow.
a single note of any session. I remember things that like I think are cool and that I think are impactful, and I just draw from it. It's not necessarily the best approach, but it's worked out so far.
It's like a beautiful
So good.
mind, but D&D. He's just got it's all
Yeah, just these
interwoven.
little
And
bits and pieces.
In the mind palace, it's in his mind palace in the room marked D&D. It's the biggest room
and it's
there.
just like stacks of paper, and like every once in a while I'll just rifle through, pick one at random. I'm like, this'll do nicely.
I'm gonna.
What about
fuck
you,
with Rod
Robin?
this episode.
What
Oh,
would you
yeah.
say is your biggest
Favorite.
character moment from a PC?
From like my experience in D&D, or like from
From
the
this
past.
biggest
That
campaign.
game,
From,
dog.
from the campaign that we're kind of discussing tonight.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I just needed that
Don't
context.
go off
I
track,
was-
Robin,
You
thank
guys
God.
forced me to go into my mind palace. I was.
Talking about
Just
actual-
right.
Piece of paper
through.
shit.
There was some really cool moments for me, and like for me, I always love seeing players just engaging with the world. It's one of the things the DM that I think is so cool is when I can just sit back and you guys start to appreciate that the world is alive. And I think one of those cool moments was definitely when after Xanathar was killed, there was that interaction with the city guard that came in. And that was obviously a retaliation for the massive destruction. And
I remember that.
it was at that moment where Rod as Bear was just so flippant with the guards. And I think it was just cool to see, the arrogance being taken down a peg by like the institution. And seeing sort of that back and forth between some of the world and the characters.
There was some clutch
but
spells
yeah,
there too, as well. If I remember,
was.
because I remember a whole person. There was a calm
There
emotion.
was
Calm emotions.
Calm Emotions was the big one. There was like basically they were on the cusp of just taking you all to custody, and
Yeah.
just to chill them out a little bit, which was again that could have gone a very different way.
Speaking of Robin's mind palace, what if we're all just a figment of Robin's imagination?
I think we are, aren't we?
Oh god.
Isn't that the point
Am I
of
the
this?
mustache?
No! God.
You wish.
You're
No,
all
I'm
on
not
the
the mustache.
mustache.
We're all
Guys,
in Robin's
actually,
matrix.
My all-time favorite moment in campaign will always be Robin's faces to all everything that we think of, like all the antics we come up with, just his face. Like we have a group chat, everyone. So just screenshots of Robin's face. It's just like after every whenever something big happens, everyone just sends in screenshots, and it's like the best thing where everyone's just so happy, and then you just see Robin like,
What have I done?
The other one obviously
Highlight
was
always.
the moment where Redhelm was so passionate about saving the lives of the people in the house, and like that was for me a really intense situation with, obviously only being able to save one of them was really hard, and like as a person, I watched that and I'm like, I feel bad, but at the same time, like that is your character only had the one diamond, like, and that was the limitation there, and I think your character's reaction to that being like, well, if we can't help them now, let's get them to somebody who can. And it was like that, like rush to try and get these people away. That was to me another fantastic moment. Also, just you guys having your searches through the city and trying to figure out what was going on, and you guys busting into the initial the manor where you first saw the stone, and fighting up on the rooftop where you had the automaton that you were sort of there was a
chasing,
and with like a clutch command word being forcing them to stop in their tracks. That was like, again, such a cool reaction, and I think a really cool solution to what would otherwise been quite a lengthy chase. Just at every turn, you guys keep making me just smile, because it's like, all right, didn't see that one coming, but let's roll with it.
There's the cinematic nature of it again, though.
Smile.
The
Make
chase
them smile, right?
had pace.
It did.
Yep.
It was amazing.
The chase was so. that was the only episode that we did with the only session that we weren't able to stream all of. I remember that, and we were just like, let's play because this is getting intense. Like,
And I
Doesn't
completely misinterpreted that session as well, because we just got rid of Erstal Floxen, and I still had suspicions that, like, if he's not the big bad, he's key to this campaign beyond what we just did.
Yes.
So I was standing guard, and then the nimble right basically that comes and takes off with the stone, and all of a sudden it's a chase, and I'm like, oh, this will be short-lived. I'll stay here. I'm guarding this guy. I'm not leaving him out of our sight. This is a guy that's going to fuck with us if he gets out of our sight.
That's right.
And all of a sudden it's a chase on the rooftop. So I'm like, I don't want to miss this. But it took me forever to catch up, to the point that I think it was nearly done and dusted. Claim was bringing up the rear like,
Right, because you made it to combat without a short rest, so we were all kind of like low in health and spell slots and everything. That was really annoying.
Ben was screwed at that point. You got wailed upon, and we had to pull you out, lay on hands you to get you back up to reasonable strength. And I think we were trying to sort of shield you, but put a barrier between you and some of the nasties. So yeah, I think you were tapped or knocked around
There's a lot of guards and like a lot of thugs that were like all in the room, just sort of fighting all at once, close proximity, spells going off in like a closed-in space.
And then that's where Rod got the dagger from.
That's because Rod got stabbed with that dagger, and he
Like,
took it, and he was like, "It's mine now."
And I was like, "There's no way that I can legally not allow him to take this weapon that was obviously so well poisoned."
But Ursula Floxen ended up being a good big bag for that episode. But then we're just carrying this hostage around.
He ended up as.
Have we still got him somewhere? But he burned down.
Yep. I don't know. He's probably sitting under some Minotaur's arse.
Sharing a drink with Dennis somewhere.
When we left Waterdeep, we let him go, and like we were like, "You're not gonna fuck us over, are you?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "We'll come back for you." He's like, "Okay," and like he's totally gonna at some point he'll probably come back up.
He was completely emaciated by that point.
He was with Steve for like 10 sessions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who's to know how close they got in that time? It's up in the air.
Throwing a what
in
if
the background.
Throwing a what if at you, Robin. Was he ever gonna come and fuck with us?
With time being a linear scale, if you don't have the cup, there's plenty of one-shots in the future that may still reveal those answers.
Yeah, in other words, I have no idea.
Nah, it's a
Don't
sheet in the
underestimate
mind
it.
palace.
Yeah,
Don't
go
When he
into
gets
the mind.
stuck, he'll just be like, Floxen. Yes.
Hey, Mark, question for you. How do you feel your character developed over the course of the campaign? Because I know that Zim's backstory was delved into pretty early. We touched on obviously a lot of Red's. Ren got a bit of a limelight. What's going on with backstory there? I felt like Clay was always really concerned about saving these kids. How do you feel like that kind of whole setup helped develop your character?
The kids played well into the backstory, and because Claymore was trying to hunt down his sister, so something evil took him, and the fact that these kids had basically been put into sleep again by an evil entity, it became quite important. And there was talk behind the scenes of, look, because they're being held by a pit fiend. Is the pit fiend a big bad, or is because it may be too much of a big bad for some level 5 type characters, or is it someone that we need to ally with, and then that becomes you do a bunch of stuff for me, and that's become it opens up some story hooks basically. But I think Claymore started the whole thing as a little bit of a lone wolf, and it was possibly a flawed character design when you need to go in with a party of people. But did my best to sort of stay true to that lone wolf, whilst also discovering a party of people, gelling enough with them, sympathise with their needs. But at the end of the day, we've reached the conclusion of the campaign, and Claymore's going to go back out a little bit more lone wolf. He's using the hospital as a base of operations, and the money has now opened up avenues to maybe find information, but he's still chasing that backstory. He's made some excellent relationships along the way, but that's been for me. It just that was the end goal. It still is the end goal. I think that suspicion, you probably noticed, like Claymore was a bit hesitant to leap into a couple of things, like the leaving Urstel behind. I think we were in the sewers at one point, and everyone found some beds and were magically drawn to them to sleep.
Oh yeah.
That
Not
was
realizing that
amazing.
was sort of the kicker to the next chapter, and I'm wholeheartedly like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep. I'm resisting this.
I remember
I'm
that.
rolling wisdom saving throws after wisdom saving throws, going, if I go to sleep, this is game over. And at the end of the day, there was just clearly nothing happening.
Yes.
I'm not leaving people. And it's like, all right, finally I give in. All right, the next chapter of the story is unlocked.
It was funny because there was such a time when you actually hadn't noticed that the people had disappeared. Like, you were actually just standing watch, and there was a good hour where you were just standing watch
so we were
without
taking
realizing
turns.
that they bounced away.
Yeah.
Because you were like, it's your turn for watch. And then eventually you were like, it took so long, you're like, well, I guess it's my turn, I better go wake someone else up. And that's when you notice the beds were empty.
And that's where I was freaked and rolling wisdom saving throws to avoid going to sleep. But so look, in that regard, I don't think Claymore has seen the progression that other people would expect. He's lone wolf, suspicious in nature, and that kind of stays the course the whole way through.
I found it really cool that you stayed like really focused on the kids, and you made us always come back to like, it's about the kids, even though many in the group were like, fuck them, let's just go on our own, just let's get the money and we'll just do what we want to do with it, forget about the kids, they're doomed. But you're like, no, this is what we've been hired to do, we're going to do this.
But see, I saw the money less as being an option. Like it wasn't of interest. It didn't meet the backstory, and the kids offered the kids and the pit fiend offered elements. So a lot of it became, let's go along with the money because you got to keep a party going. But it was just having the kids as an option, I guess, to cycle back around. Whatever happened with the kids? I'm drawing a big blank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you
well,
guys never.
We just ran
you guys
down the
never
clock.
explored it again. But
We didn't save them though.
they got taken.
I think to your point though, Mark, they were held by this massive,
Pretty much.
all-powerful being. It was going to be near impossible to try and save them anyway.
I think we
There
said
was-
Yeah.
I
They
think Robin
said
gave
if
us a
you
bit
give
of
them
a-
the money, then you'll be fine.
And I think Robin, we
but
sense
Red's dad
checked it
took
with him
over.
as a, you can certainly try, but, and it was phrased well enough that it was like, guys, you haven't unlocked this part of the story yet.
I mean, it would have
I'm not ready
again
for you to go
made
off
it a very different campaign, but not one that I would have, not allowed you to pursue.
You must be
Did
at
you-
least level 20 before proceeding.
So this is a little bit of the what ifs. Was there a bunch of, I mean, because you may not have prepared it, knowing you're just waiting for us to shape it. But given we were sort of talking around backstories and using that as the next hop, was it starting to come together that there was an avenue over here with the Pit Fiend and do jobs?
Well, I mean, there definitely would have been, right? Like, what a creature like that would do for a party like yours, willing to do some bidding for it in response to like some kids' lives. Like, kids like that are like nothing in the grand scheme of things. What if they could
Okay.
use you all to get more influence and get across to more of the city, maybe infiltrate some of the other organizations in Waterdeep. That would have been intriguing.
There was going to be some interesting roleplay, I think, because with the Pit Fiend, like, Claymore's chasing an evil character down to then have to ally to one to further his needs. That was going to be like, this is really hard to reconcile, but it might be the avenue I need to fulfill the rest of the story.
And,
That was eating away at me for a bit.
Yeah, and a creature like that surely would have offered you some information if you were able to supply them with the help they needed.
Yeah, and I'm fairly sure I would have been doing some things that conflicted with my morals.
What is it they
One
say that
shot
road to
coming
hell
up.
is paved with good intentions and all that?
I believe that the phrase is the road ahead is paved with the blood of children.
Yeah, that a good classic.
Oh,
classic
yeah.
saying.
It's a classic
I've
Waterdeep
heard that.
saying.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you saying, Hinsa?
No, I was just saying future one shot. Like, it's a perfect kind of
Oh yeah.
one shot
Oh,
to
yeah.
have.
So look, we're definitely leaping ahead here. The intent has been if we can touch back on Claymore's story, and look,
Definitely.
because it's a bit spooky, the backstory. Halloween might be a really fun two-shot.
Yes.
And there is a story there to fulfill. I'd love for the party to come along. Alternatively, you guys can roll some new and interesting
Nah.
characters for that.
Red Helm will definitely come after everything. He's pretty much at the party's disposal. Whatever they need, he's like, yeah, I'm there for you guys. You know.
Well, I mean, and Xander, if we need to, extract justice
Yeah.
on some sort of demon, then Xander will be there for sure.
Soraya needs-
Justice Bros.
Justice Hose.
Soraya needs more character development.
Speaking of character progression, then, I'm keen from hearing from Dave, and I'm not sure which side of the question you want to answer. The Zim progression or the Xander progression, where you almost come in with a blank slate and go, where am I taking this? And are we on a home stretch? How far can I progress a character with what we were discussing is that, look, guys, there's only a couple of months left of this story at best. How do you squeeze max progression, max character development into that?
Yeah. So I essentially went down the path, and I made it pretty clear with like Robin early on. I was like, this character has, starting from now, minimal progression. Like, his backstory was, I woke up with no idea what happened to me. And these kindly folk look like they're very kind. I'll say hello to them in a bar. Why is that guy trying to hit me? Oh, well, I'll try and kill him. Oh, they're gonna feed me. All right, I'll hang out with them. It was such a, I didn't want to get in the way of the Winchester Shield and add anything to it. So for Xander, his progression was just become a part of the party, right? And don't be a hindrance.
Tell the truth, though.
Like
I think
me.
you've actually almost answered the question perfectly. Because if we're talking progression, the fact that you were a blank slate and only had a couple of episodes to deal with, you went from I'm a cleric,
Cleric, yeah.
aligned to a certain god, and in the space of a couple of episodes, you're like, I need to give up that god. I accept a new god. I become the head of Justice Crew.
Yeah.
That all made sense.
Dance moves.
That's just true.
It is.
But that was so.
Can't do that.
For
Can't
a
do
character
it.
that I was trying not to make a big part of the story, it actually ended up being a big part of the story for a minute there.
I can't do it.
Hey,
You know what's
whatever you
amazing,
guys
though?
say
You know
about
what's
the Puzzle
amazing?
Master, he brings people together.
Fuck the
Puzzle Master's a dick, okay? I hope
He's
Oh
the
my God.
best.
forever.
How did the
Puzzle
Puzzle
Master's
Master
the best.
progress over the course of?
Oh, well. I mean, surely the
I
Puzzle Master progressed at the end there.
Yeah, he's regressed a bit, I think.
Who
Will the
else?
You know
puzzle
what's-
master come up in Transia or whatever? Tanxia?
In where?
Right.
I don't know where that place is. In the homebrew, maybe.
That's what I mean.
We'll see. Is it part of the same multiverse?
Okay, fair.
Who else felt they had that progression that within a character that they absolutely loved bringing to light, or did you start from point A and you thought it was going to point B, and all of a sudden you're over at Z?
Yeah, I felt that with Red Helm. He very much went into things like, I can do everything myself. And then being like, no, it's not a bad thing to have the help of people that you trust. Because I'm looking back at my notes, the first notes I took about everyone's characters, a majority of them have underneath them like, don't trust, sort of thing. Going from that,
Even me?
Yeah.
Flame talks a lot, maybe too much.
Especially.
Unsure if should trust.
I especially
Oh,
don't
sure.
trust.
But yeah, no, I literally went from that to like being like, oh no, these are people I can rely on. These are people that like will have my back. Like you know, if I need their help, they're going to be there for me. And throughout the campaign, even Zim, like, even though there was that whole butting heads between Red Helm and Zim after he killed a family.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
Sexy collateral damage.
Sexy charred collateral damage.
Oh god. Yeah, but like even then, like as you know, things progressed, and then we started to make our way to Baldur's Gate. That was kind of repaired a little bit, and it was like Red was trying to find his footing with Zim again after that. And he was like, well, am I going to like treat him like a younger kid brother sort of thing? And that's why he like kind of picked on him a little bit. And he's like, oh, I don't know if that's right. Yeah, that's why he was pretty devastated when Zim died after Red Helm's action of picking up the cup.
And in terms of progress,
Oh, I think Ren was next. I'll talk after. I think Ren. Jez, you were going to talk? No?
Well, I was going to go off on a tangent between what Red and what I
You
was
go,
gonna
I'll
say
go
that,
after.
what I really enjoyed was like the conflict between Red and Zim over the sexy fireball incident, and that just stuck with you both throughout the whole thing, all the little nitpicking bullshit that carried through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then Zim's dead. We all want to try and find Zim. Red got on board with that. For Xander to turn up, bring out the Mace of Justice, and now you two, you know, it's this weird meta, you've sort of fought and then hugged and made up kind of thing.
I heard that Red Helm tripped Zim into the cup.
Maybe that's why I kept failing all my saves. I was
Oh my god.
Disadvantage.
I'm not going to say who did that in the chat,
I guess we'll find out. Guess we'll find out.
but revenge is a dish best served in fireballs.
Oh my god.
But Hinza, your character,
Yeah.
progress-wise.
So with Sarah, so originally I was a changeling. So Flame Guys was actually a changeling. So
Well, there
Flame
you
wasn't
go.
a fire genasi. Yeah.
Never ever said that at all. Like,
Like, the mom was a dragon
What?
thing. It's like, it's
No,
a complete
not so
secret.
Mum was
Okay,
a dragon? What?
Okay, so I think I'm
I
the
still
one with the most
remember.
amount of characters during this entire campaign. I don't know. I was having I was a bard and then I changed Soraya. Anyway, so obviously I had all these plans for her. Like I had this entire. So how she actually formed was I saw this meme about how everyone jokes about the bard fucking a dragon, and that's how I got the idea. And then it was that her mums were based off one of my best friends because she has two mums. So I was like, so that kind of inspired me to have two mums because, like, you know, more diversity because, like, you know, why not? I mean, I'm already gonna have dragon as a mum, you know. So I kind of got inspiration from my best friend there, and then so I had this entire backstory. And I was like, you don't need a sad backstory. And the whole idea was, I think you all know, like she had famous parents, she had famous siblings, and she was trying to make it in the world. But what ended up happening, because she was the youngest, they kept babying her. So what they had done in Baldur's Gate was they had created their own sort of adventure family, unknown to her, created their own kind of adventuring company, right? And they would hire her and send her on dangerous quests, right? So that's how she ended up with that huge head and that huge kind of observation of herself, thinking she's so amazing. Because she was like, what? Let's say I'm metagaming here. She's level 3, but they send her on level 1 quests. So she just kind of was like, oh my god, I'm so great at this. This is why I'm amazing. And then she found out, and so I originally had Nick. Everyone knows Nick.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
We're
He
aware of
doesn't.
it.
Yeah.
There we
Okay,
go.
whatever.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Soraya was
Personality
actually
number
meant
6.
to have she was meant to have her own personal bard, but Nick, he has this habit of not showing up. Like I've gone
Not
to
existing
5
outside of your
concerts
psyche.
within the last 6 months, and he has not shown up to any of them. So like,
Is he really your friend? It's not a very friendly thing to
No,
do.
this is the worst thing. He has legitimate
listening, Nick.
excuses.
Pick it up,
He has
brother.
legitimate excuses, which does my head in. Like he has
Nobody
valid
has
reasons.
5 excuses. Come on.
Nick,
I
are
know,
you
like,
this
he's
person empty in the chat? Is that you, Nick? Just telling you, right?
But I
Anyway.
like that it came full circle at the
Yeah.
end.
Mm. So like I had this whole idea where and then so that's why she broke away, because she wanted to prove herself. But I think I really liked how for some reason I kept seeming to roll really badly, which kind of proved my point was she's not as great as she thinks he was. And like I know Zim kept casting these fire spells, and she was like, why are you doing this? This is my thing. And then like every time she needed a fire spell, Zim would do it, but he would do it so much better. And it was just kind of like doing her head in, like just kind of like deflating her self-ego. But she's like, no, but I'm still amazing. Like, no, I refuse to believe it. But like having to come to terms with that, like, so obviously you guys know I took a huge step back because like, so heads up, so I have like borderline and bipolar, so like mental health is like, you know, we support Beyond Blue. So for me, it's really hard to do things, and so hence the reason I took a big step back. Like COVID obviously hit everyone really hard. I was hit really hard where I couldn't even get out of bed, which is always fun. And so I guess I need to take time, but like these guys have been amazing and they accepted me back, which I'm really, really grateful. And like now I look forward to these things, and this really, really helps. And like, you know, like last week I had, before the stream, I had 4 breakdowns. Just ask my manager. Yeah, no, I actually had 4. I remember I was crying and I went straight to the manager's office and they're like, sit. Anyway, and so that last week helped so much. So anyway, I wish she had a lot more progression. Like I wanted her to become less of a brat and sort of stuff. So that's why I'm really looking forward to play her in a one shot, because I kind of wanted to become more of an adult and kind of like have more responsibilities instead of being like, oh, I have money, I can do whatever I want, you know. Like,
So
From our perspective, I think you dropped probably the most epic part of the game
Oh,
off game. And of
So
course the
good.
stream wouldn't know this, but as the stream is ending and we've
Oh, yeah.
got a Hinz's dragon mum and her partner, but we don't know it's a dragon at that point. There's
Yeah.
been some subtle hints.
In disguise.
Robbins said we got to eat at the table, and we got
Yeah.
a whole or something, and then they ate a lamb between two of them.
Yeah.
A whole
yeah.
goat. Yeah, like a whole thing, yeah.
And as the stream ends, Ahenza kindly lets everyone know, oh my god, my mum's a dragon, guys. Which is almost meme-worthy in itself within our own little...
So
little group
I
of people.
pick
But
up
you
that-
then... That's where you bamfed. And you
I know.
hang the big reveal, and then just went AWOL. And
Oh my god, you're right.
it was just
That'd
really
be such an
like, how
amazing
are we meant to
t-shirt, though.
process or deal with
That
this
will make
situation?
an
because
amazing team.
I think I said it outside of the group because I didn't say it in character.
I was
No, but
as
you said it
stream
on the stream.
finishing.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
definitely out of character.
Yeah, no, I never picked up that your character didn't like Zim, but it also now explains why when we found you again in the puzzle realm, you didn't question where Zim was at all.
Don't need that
That
guy.
guy. So
I
bad
just
he's
saw
gone.
it
What happened to
I mean, the one that can do everything I can do but better. Lol, what? There wasn't another person that could do by
But
itself. I'm the only one.
I
I'm
think
only
the cool
five
thing
queen.
that happened, like Soraya had at the end of the campaign, her big realization was that she doesn't actually need her parents' permission to be respected. Like she doesn't need their, go ahead to finally be, a well-renowned adventurer. She already has proven her own experience and her own strength by going through all this. Even if her parents will still always coddle her, she is she's now an expert adventurer in her own right, and I think that was the fun thing. It's you can always go back, but you'll never be who you want to be under their right. And it's the only way you can get to be where your character wants to be is forging their own path. And I think Soraya leaving her parents' home even before sitting down and eating with them, it's I've got another family now that actually doesn't care about the past, that is willing to accept me for who I am today. And I think that was kind of a sweet ending.
Jez, Miss Wren,
Yeah.
progression.
Oh, huge.
Used to steal a little bit, now steals a lot.
Yeah.
Steals
She
all
never
the
set out to
hearts.
be a klepto. She just
Yes.
had to embrace
Whatever
that
happened
because...
to your archer, your boa boyfriend?
Girlfriend,
You're flirting.
boyfriend.
Because you had
Who?
the boa
Merchant.
that you managed to flirt with that was giving you the discounts on the beautiful bow that he made for you.
I got it. I bought it. But
Oh
it was...
yeah, you did. But did you ever go back and
That's
visit
just
it?
a boyfriend,
Used
though.
him.
No, we
He's
got the
probably
place down
dead.
and moved on.
He's probably dead now after he got smoked by the super ultra mecha dragon zord.
We tried on him.
No,
Oh my god.
Just throwing it out
Ren-
there. Ren and the DM having a flirting session. It was one of the
Clever.
most amazing,
Multiple times.
disturbing,
Love it.
interesting, weird, interesting moments
I
of
ship.
multiple parts of the
I
campaign.
ship.
Yeah. That mode, knowing it's there.
Because in character, roleplay, right? And
Running roleplay.
1,000 kilometers.
ERP.
Because you've had... it feels like, Jez, we got 60-70% of the way through your story.
Yeah.
I'd say the halfway point is when you confront Zorgolg,
Zord
get
douche.
absorbed into the cube. No, the spirit realm,
Something?
soul
Whatever,
realm.
yeah.
Yeah. There's
The
a bow.
wand. I think it was into the wand.
Yes, it was
The wand of
definitely.
souls.
You found the
no, it
rest
was
of the
it was
souls.
The crystal that eventually got into Zim, which was attached to Zim's palm, was the thing that was currently storing all those souls on Zorgolg, and that's what you got sucked into.
It felt like we had so much momentum building there for. Oh, there's a really interesting arc of the story here. Oh, bye, Zim. Just be left hanging
Absolutely.
with
Yeah,
like
it was.
the John
was
Travolta
a-
gif.
Also, I
That's
feel
so
like
true,
we've
like,
all
what do I
forgotten
do
about Zim popping out of Bear's ass. Guys, we forgot about that.
Oh no, it was never,
Oh,
never forgot. It was never
We
forgot.
never forget.
Never
Never
forget.
forget. Never forget. Hashtag never forget.
Never forgetty. Mum's spaghetti.
Ren saw a lot of character progression, and seemed to get more pissed off with the world. That's how I wanted to play it, especially when Zorgol became part of her. She wanted to get more. Now, she was chaotic good alignment, but she wanted to go more chaotic. Hence, the stealing increased.
Are we done with
No,
Ren?
we're not done.
No.
I'm possessed.
I reckon
Ren's possessed.
one shot, we dive into Ren's soul with a portion of Ren's soul to clear out Zorgolg from her.
Ooh.
It could be done.
Could be done.
Yes, you'd like to say something?
I mean, how do you feel when Sarai is like, you're adopted now, you're part of my family? How's that for
fine.
Ren?
Going back to when it occurred, I think there was a good moment because that was like, I had found this group of people that I could kind of hang out with, but there was like, okay, now I've got someone who's concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good moment.
I'm glad.
With the one shot to potentially resolve your story, one shot, two shot. Look, I'm just going to compare and contrast with Claymore. Like the end goal for me has been baked into the story, and that's why I want to do the one shot. It's to fulfill that story arc. Yours, you had a deep backstory involving Zorgolg and friends and family, and then to have that yeeted away from you. Would you say you're in control of where that story goes next, or are you entirely in the hands of the DM to go, make it for me?
This
Surprise.
is beyond my control. Like, my end game here was to defeat Zorgolg and like seek vengeance. Right? That's kind of stuck now, because if I defeat this guy, I'm dead. Unless there's another solution, which I have no idea how to go about finding, because our good mate Zim with the Wand of Souls and the Holy Hand is also poof. Right? That was my key, and the key is no longer with us. So
Yeah.
It was
I would
fun
like
for
to
a
see
few
a way to
sessions.
resolve this bit.
So
It was
just
fun
to
for
be
a few sessions talking about that.
just to be clear, Zim had an opportunity to not take that gem into his hand, and I rolled because I actually passed the roll as to whether or not I had to have the gem be a part of my hand. And I passed that roll, and then I rolled on the choice of whether or not it would happen. I think I rolled a physical dice in front of me, and it nat 1, and I was like, I guess I'm putting that thing in my hand then.
Did you do like a 50-50? If it's less than 10, I'll do it. If it's more than 10,
Well, I made it a small number. I think it was like 3. I was like, if it's less than 3, I'll put it in my hand, because it was like kind of against what I would normally have done, right? Like Zim was very much a studious person. He would study for hours, and letting some random dark magic thing just become a part of his body was not in character for him. And I was like, for some reason, there's a power-hungry influence from this gem, and the Nat 1 was like confirmed it. I was like, okay, here it is, let's go.
I submit.
Yeah. And then it was just this weird bit of, now that I've Nat 1'd and I've had that submission, this power-hungry piece as part of me, I was like, how does he react? How does it change? And then visiting the temple and all the souls that would have come when we visited the temple, we're healing people, but people were dying and stuff. And he had the soul gem in his hand. It was like a weird little side path that I was like writing some notes down about.
Yeah, that could have opened up so much stuff for Zim.
So Zim went back in time, gained more souls, became Zorgolg, killed Ren's mentor, and it's just like a self-fulfilling time circle.
It's a grandfather loop.
And
Oh my God.
also
Stop
stole
putting things
Claymore's
in the mind
sister,
palace of the DM.
Stole Claymore's sister, but Claymore's sister was reincarnated in the body of Ren, and
Oh
they are
God.
now related. Yes.
But the last thing he did before going to town, after he heard that Zenithar was finally dead, was set up a cup in this small town called Refuge.
Oh, that motherfucker.
Anyway,
Do you guys remember the
hang
gold?
on, No, stop. We are going to have a break. We're going to have a 10-minute break, and upon which return, we'll have another half an hour just continuing through some of the other questions that we have in our sheet here.
Hands up if your mum's a dragon.
Alright, stick around everyone.
See you
back
guys
in 10.
all. And welcome back to the Raging Rolls recaps. as we've finally got back. Hinsa was just chomping at the bit, trying to get that question out, and we finally have another chance to get into it. I'll pass it back to you, Jez. What's the next question on the old list there?
Look, let's just dive straight into the big curly one. Where the hell is Zim?
Where is he?
Oh, he's gone.
Should we
Well,
wait
as
for
you
him?
can
Look
see,
at
Zim's
him.
not
Okay,
in
Dave's
gone.
gone at the moment, so... This is the
Dad,
best
reflex.
time.
Excellent timing for
Nice.
that question, wasn't it?
So while there was as I was chatting to Dave post obviously the big pop, I had an idea for Zim based on a really one of my favorite book series of all time, which was the Magician by Raymond E. Feist. And within that book, one of the characters gets taken to another world, and they're brought as slaves to that world. But in that place, they if you have any talent with magic, they actually take you away and train you and condition you separately, and reintroduce you to the world regardless of your origin, as sort of this figure of authority that's been sort of trained in magic. And that just I really love the idea of Zim being able to be taken away from the current existence, whether that's through time, whether that's through space. That's something that still needs to be played through, and something for I think Dave to work on. It's not something that I'm going to say for Zim's sake, but to put it bluntly, Zim's gonna have an opportunity, whether they take it or not, to maybe explore some tertiary education of an outlandish sort.
Is he in the homebrew world?
We were just talking, Dave, about Zim and potentially Zim having some tertiary education off-world.
Yes. Or a different timeline, maybe.
Maybe.
He's in the homebrew world. He's in the homebrew world. Zim's in the homebrew
He's
world.
not in the homebrew world. He's not in the homebrew world.
He was reincarnated as Xandar, and he emulated the person he loved most, which is Red Helm. That's why he came back as a wolf cleric.
Oh my god.
So yeah, we'll see what happens to old Zim as the story unfolds in the outer canon of the world.
Yeah, all I can
Can
say is,
we?
if a battle royale does happen, beware Zim. Beware.
And keep an eye out for our comic book series with feature one of Zim.
Oh my god.
It's happening now. Amazon,
So-
send us checks.
What
Dark
has
Horse
Zim
and
come
Train.
out
Let's
of?
go.
Because I know he's come out of a bear, he's come out of goldfish. Down for goldfish. And like the glob. Do you guys remember the glob from the house session?
I
What
remember.
else has Zim come out of?
It's a smaller
Well,
list
like-
to go through the things that I haven't come out of.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
think what's really fun about that is those will be the actual names of all of the books or the comics. It'll just be like the places, the orifices that Zim appears from.
Oh,
So we'll actually have that as like a sequential order as we tell the tale of him. Be pretty good.
Defeats Zulgog. He pops out of Zulgog. There we go. We've rescued Zim. It's over.
Thanks for the follow,
I
Ryan.
remember-
He could be in a
Thank you,
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Welcome aboard the Raging Rolls train.
Ask us a question.
Just saying, Zim could be in
What's
a
going on?
paradoxical thing where he's inside his own crystal, right?
What?
Is that what you call your sphincter?
Oh,
That's the ultimate orifice.
right.
He literally has his head up his own ass.
I'm renaming the next campaign as the Crystal Orifice.
Please don't. I like the 7 rings. Like, let's just keep it at that.
That's the
Is it
same
or
name.
5? It's
That's the
7?
same name.
I don't see any difference here.
I don't get it.
All right. Moving on. So we know Zim is still in play. He's a little bit off-world, a little bit mysterious. Everyone's a bit cagey about it, Dave included.
Just throwing it out there. Zim's brother is still in play. That story is going to get answered, and you
Isn't
guys are
he
going to be like,
asleep?
We don't know where he is. We have no idea where
DM.
he is.
the
And he's in a
DM knows
coma.
where he is.
The
DM.
notes is in the piece of paper.
But
I love
also,
that
in
would
the
we know
palace.
that that's Zim's brother? Would we know though?
You may or may not. May or may
Like,
not.
wouldn't he be some random gnome that's asleep?
We'll find out, won't we?
I love that.
Stay tuned.
I love that Ryan in the chat has come in with. I love the Waterdeep campaign. I can't wait to see where this is going. Ryan, spoiler alert.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
There's a Waterdeep campaign.
And then there's us.
Follow
We've
us on
taken
YouTube,
A little
brother.
bit off book. A little
It's
bit
all-
off book.
it's
So
on
Zim's
YouTube.
off
It's
world.
on
We went
YouTube.
off book.
Waterdeep was a
But
lovely setting.
the story is definitely there to follow through, and I think the players made it their own. So if you're interested in a good time, there's a bunch of backlog videos to enjoy.
There's a bunch of bad mistakes to follow through on.
All right. I'm going to ask Dan Redhelm a question.
Yes. Yeah,
What would you
my
say
attention.
is your biggest surprising thing, biggest surprise, biggest reveal throughout the campaign?
Biggest surprise?
You can't say my mum's a
I'm
dragon.
up to dragon.
I was just thinking that.
Damn it.
You guys web and Zim's mum was a dragon. Yeah. He wanted to tell you,
Okay.
but the cup.
It was.
I remember
Anybody
that
else?
session
Mark?
because I was asking Rob, please help me. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And then during the session, he's like, Ihimsa, tell me this. Tell me that. I'm like, you did not prepare me. And I'm like furiously texting him, being like, you did not prepare me for this. He's like, Ihimsa, tell me these names. I'm like, you didn't tell me. Read this draconic for me. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I was
That'd be
like,
one of the biggest
I
challenges.
asked you to tell me this before the start of the session, but no.
You didn't prepare him is the best type of preparation because we don't prepare him for anything we're about to do.
No,
So-
exactly. You guys have to be as
Exactly.
adaptable as I do. This is a back
It
and
is
forth here.
Improvisation. It's the key thing with D&D.
And,
Biggest
and
surprise-
I think that leads brilliantly to look my favorite surprise of the campaign. It was number one, the puzzle master making an appearance
Oh, so
in
good.
the campaign,
I hate the
and then
Puzzle
number two, as that arc is coming to a conclusion, like, and we're being asked to sacrifice bits and pieces. I got
Oh
nothing,
yeah.
and call upon Tyr to just.
Yeah, that was
just-
amazing. That was,
It was,
such a
that was a
moment.
pure desperate play, and then not only has Robin run with it, but Dave's also run with it in his own special way. And to me, that was of all the things that we did, that was the one that was just so perfectly timed in terms of where the campaign was headed and what needed to happen.
Yeah.
But we were really up against it at that point, and not the clearest path out. And it played out beautifully, and it tied up so much of the
Yeah.
story and enabled the next chapter
Oh,
to
so
really
well.
get underway with some gusto.
I agree completely. I think that was such a, at the 11th hour clutch moment, because failing that, I think that would have been lights out right there, stuck in the puzzle realm.
You would have lost half your team.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
it. I
And,
mean, I don't think we
the
knew
new
that.
guy.
I don't think we knew the stakes were quite that high. It was always, we can always have an out somehow.
And
But
the puzzle
it
master
was
wasn't going to do it until you guys started antagonizing the guy, And he was like, well, if you guys
Can
want
you
to
do
play
his
dirty,
voice
let's
again,
play dirty.
Robin?
No,
The puzzle master?
You get PTSD
He's like
every-
Lemonhead from Adventure Time. Was that your inspiration?
No idea.
Sure. Sure.
Oh, that was, I agree, that was an amazing moment.
And I think it really spoke to the cadence we sort of hit towards the end of the campaign. We were really starting to feel that tension rise, and every session kind of ended with this escalation of the stakes. And it was really fun to have a couple of weeks there where every single time was just this deep breath that it was like, what is gonna happen next? And
But that's
that was
That's where I felt the wheels were really off the the Waterdeep campaign itself. And yes, the gold was still acting as the MacGuffin that we're chasing down, but by that stage it was the Red Helm show. That was the coherent story tying everything together, and it had some absolutely fantastic momentum behind it. We then had to throw Xander into the mix, being a completely fresh off the boat character, trying to find context and how to weave him in, and then just the perfect play at that point in time enabled Xander to completely step up and is now a main player in this. It was the culmination of so much goodness, plus fuck the puzzle master. What else for surprises? What else did people feel were?
Like 100%. So the surprise that the gold coin that I got, that I always thought was just like would glow warm, like feel warm to the touch whenever Red Helm's god was like, you're doing the right thing. Having that then make him transform when we're getting the absolute shit kicked out of us by Annabeth. Having him transform into the personification of Baphomet, that massive surprise. In character terms, massive surprise was just the party deciding to, hey, let's follow Red Helm to Baldur's Gate and deal with his family issues.
You know what I loved about that whole setup, though? That it took us 5 sessions to decide to go to Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, because Red Helm did not want to go there. I don't want to do this.
Can I do the
Please,
recap?
go.
Okay. Guys, the gold is gone. We've got a letter saying the gold is in Baldur's Deep. What are you going to do? Robin's like, they're definitely going to go to Baldur's Gate. Us, well, I mean, that's fake. Why would we leave? The gold's here for sure. 3 sessions later, still looking for this gold. Definitely not lost. Definitely not being moved. The group's like, yeah, we should definitely keep searching for it. After a while, hey, I wonder, guys, just for a second, if we're still in the same circle that we're working in here, just round and round.
I think we ran the clock down on the kids, and that was kind of like,
thank you for the raid.
Oh, we've been raided.
Yeah.
Welcome.
GM Chef crew, what have you been up to?
We're just hanging out, talking some recaps from our campaign as we wrap up and head into the next campaign in a few weeks. Welcome to join.
And so after like 32 episodes of us not taking the hint, where Robin's banging his head against the desk, just going, in this week's recap, I remind the group that the gold is not in Waterdeep. And I wonder how many more sessions of this until they take the hints.
And yet Robin then decides on the way to Baldur's Gate to throw us into a puzzle a time loop where
that's what Robin
solve it. And by the end of it, he's just like, guys, for fuck's sake, the puzzle's not that hard. You've got all the elements in play. You can work this out. We're like, oh no, I'm just going to randomly open lockers and keep destroying the world.
You guys
we use your head
like
because
an hour and a half just blowing yourselves up repeatedly.
So the situation was that we have an alphabet of lockers that need to be opened in a particular sequence to form a word which diffused the world reset, the bomb, basically. But I hold it, that was a particularly pain in the ass and difficult puzzle because there was no clue on what the word should be.
And there were a lot of written things
Why
down.
would you do that?
Wish you just said something like
the
speak
fact
for
of the matter is, you guys never opened the right starting letter, so you never got to be like, okay, this one doesn't blow up. It took you like a few sessions to go back there and be like, okay, I opened up them all in sequence until I finally was like, okay, D doesn't blow you to smithereens. And you guys were like, oh, it starts with D.
Yeah,
I was like,
forced it.
You guys have infinite chances, and you guys didn't sequentially move through the alphabet. You guys were like, vowels. Start with the Z. And you guys never were like, let's just start from A and work ourselves to Z.
But you wouldn't think, that in a world like this, you have to brute force it.
We didn't know it was infinite. We didn't know it was infinite. That's the other part, right?
You were playing the dying child really well. You were playing the dying child who was losing energy each time really well. It did.
So Ray is currently dying.
the impetus that, hey, maybe we do only have a finite set of this. But no, I think she was just losing patience. Like, you guys are a bunch of idiots.
Personification of the Demon of Doom.
Oh, hey, hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry, go, Robin. Go.
No. Like the puzzles we had along the way were always interesting to see you guys come up against, because as a party, you guys were very competent at killing things. But
That's about
the
it.
second there was like a non-combat encounter, it was always like, I don't know, I can't barge way through this door, so I'm not sure how to handle this situation.
It's one thing to roll high on intelligence. It's one thing to roll high on intelligence, but then you've got to lift to it. If you roll low, you play dumb. It's hard to play smart.
You guys did really great at that. I'm going to give you all compliments there.
Well, we lost our early smart character, so like, what'd you expect?
He was still there at that point.
He was still
Oh,
there.
was he?
We
Well, that's awkward.
defeated the Puzzle Master without that sanctimonious Zim who kills families. Help. Okay.
Actually, what was everyone's intelligence modifier? Because mine was, I think,
Oh, who
-1.
-1.
-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Zim was big. Zim had a
What
big
was-
one.
Zim was big.
What was yours,
Ray?
Ray?
Hey,
I think like a +1 or something, maybe.
Okay, Claymore.
red card.
I can't remember. Because I would have favoured strength, charisma, because Paladin's a charisma caster.
Dexterity.
I think Dex was down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dex was my dump stat.
Oh. I know
Took it down
Beowulf
one.
was smarter than both, like, Redhelm and I.
He was smarter than the average bear. Hey.
Hey.
The intelligent
There's,
barbarian.
we probably wrap up in sort of the next 10 minutes. I think we probably have time for one good question to sort of see us off. Any spicy questions either from the campaign or you know, where we're heading?
Where we're heading?
Where we're heading, I think
Where we're heading.
Opening up
100%.
for some other conversations.
I'm so excited.
So
Right.
What are the questions?
for those
Where we
people
going,
that are
DM?
joining,
Where
or
we
just
going,
joining
DM?
us. Sorry, we'll
where
just
we
brief
going?
the guys.
Go, Mark.
Just joined us. You know, they're not going to know who the Raging Rolls are. This is the end of a 1-year campaign. But in the next month, because we've got a couple of one-shots, next week is an epic level 20. You know, there's a lot of animosity between the characters.
We're all going down.
We're gonna flex some of our characters in a non-canon. Let's just have a level 20 hoedown. Then a double one-shot. I believe Honey Heist is the next double one-shot.
This is where we prove who's the smartest of the average bears.
Yeah. We're then going to do an offline session 0 amongst ourselves, just iron out the kinks in our characters or our new characters, and understand properly how they fit into the new world. And then April 20...
29th, I think, is going to be our first stream on the roughly around the 1-year anniversary of this stream.
Sweet.
So we will
April 20.
be doing session 1 at the end of April in a brand new world, a brand new homebrew of the DM's Mind Palace. We got some fun characters coming.
It should be a great time. And yes, Bet Metal, we're going to be going Battle Royale, last man or woman standing, takes all
Or
in
mage.
5e rules, yes.
5e.
So we're
Both
taking our characters,
now
which are
and
currently level 7, and we're going to bump them up 13 levels to level 20,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then be fumbling over what the hell they possibly can do.
Right?
And I'm pretty sure my squishy character is going to die in the first
Yeah,
round.
yeah, Ren, I'm
not
coming to that.
use
Ren.
Be a big
wish?
flirt.
Can you wish not
oh no,
All I'm
Wish is
saying-
there.
Charisma.
Wish is
Damn it.
there.
There's
Because
one
if-
option.
If
Can't
you guys
just wish
decide,
to win though?
well, what does win mean? How is that interpreted? What complications exist under those kind of conditions?
Oh my god, you're such a DM.
No, because it's the way the wish spell is worded. It's like
It's a
you have
genie
to be
wish.
very careful. It's a genie wish, not to mean. Yeah, you got to be super careful with it.
So,
Anyway,
Actually,
Wish
you guys
is
think
a
I'm
how
going
are
to
you
tag
going
a
to
you
DM
with the
this
wish
scenario,
spell?
Robin?
You guys
Which
think
one?
that's very interesting. How
I've still got
devastating.
a reroll too that I'm sitting on.
Oh,
So for a bunch of our people in the chat, look, this is where the fluidity of this stream comes into play. We do have this idea that you guys can spend those rage points, toss the DM a reroll, or the
True.
characters
No.
a reroll.
Reroll
Just
your witch
always to
Not
me. That's the only
happening.
thing you got to remember is feed the DM.
So look, yeah, you guys can influence the world a little bit and the outcomes. I think we're also going to explore some ways that you guys might be able to name some NPCs
Or
as
at
they.
least have some NPCs named after you,
well,
which
Yeah.
is
what
the
about-
more
Inflatable-
politically correct way to do it.
Inflatable Cat, who's been in the chat for ages, has had a spiritual weapon of inflatable cats going
Spirit Guardians as well, destroying
Yeah.
the bad guys in our final session.
Oh, I remember
Is he
that.
still around? So in the new session, my character's favorite food might possibly be raw toast. Just saying. Long time favorite in the channel.
Wait,
Long
I
time
don't get
favorite in the channel.
It's another viewer.
Yeah. And if you're
Love
partial
interacting with you
to
guys.
if you're partial to America time zones, then the Nat 30s and Izzy Beth Major, huge fans of the Raging Rolls and huge supporters. So if you get an opportunity to be in their time zone and listen to them, do that as well. Great opportunity.
They are they're going Rise of Tiamat. They've just finished Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Lots of cool stuff going on there. And so as we wrap up here, what's the final question to take us home, guys? What are we feeling?
What are we feeling as a fire? Let's go favorite battle, favorite encounter.
No.
We are a party of murder hobos. What was the biggest, proudest murder moment?
You first, Jez. You first.
Hang on, no. I asked the question.
No,
I
you
can't figure the answer straight away. I'm gonna explode with that. I think for me, my favorite moment for that was the rooftop chase. I just remember this was my first improvised weapon as a character, roping up an arrow to try and tie up the nimble right. And proud moment, I'll take it. That was my favorite encounter. Just the pace of it all. You know, everyone was throwing things left, right, and center. Claymore was struggling to catch up. Bear was doing his own thing. We all got there in the end. Took down a couple of
They were beholders, mini ones.
baby beholders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Baby beholders.
Is there 3
David?
tiers of beholders? And we had the middle tier because we'd already done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you killed one in the tunnels, and then you killed these two, and then the big bad Xanathar himself.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, so that
Boy, he was
That was
dead
mine.
to me.
Like, just gonna say.
that was my moment because Ren got to shine a little bit, and I was actually pretty happy to, come up with an improvised weapon and for it to be effective.
I reckon for me, it was the whole scene and scenario, the whole piece from the initial orcs raiding the city through the Megazord and the little fight in the forest happening at the same time. That whole piece of like the stuff that came with it. So the first time we saw the consequences of the magic and killing somebody and the drama that came out of that, right? And then the Megazord coming together and the team working as one, and then the strange things that shot out in, offshoots of the story about Ren's soul and the crystal. Those were really big moments for me. I reckon they were my favorite encounters.
Awesome.
It was huge. Like that was like one session. It was massive.
That was so good.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw 2 out there.
Oh,
One,
cheating.
because it's the more
Classic
traditional
claim.
battle, and it's we'd be remiss if we didn't say the Xanathar battle and
Yeah.
how pear-shaped that went unexpectedly for Xanathar.
And for what
and really allowed us to say, look, this stream has gone completely off rails in terms of the campaign. Let's be doing our own thing. The next battle that wasn't a battle was the courtroom battle.
That's what I was gonna say.
So good.
Okay, well, look, it's your moment.
It's
I've
right,
said my
you
piece.
say.
But I mean, that was intense. There were no significant dice rolls. It was roll heavy, but that was a battle, and we weren't sure what the outcome was going to be. And yeah, there was a few clutch dice rolls that still played into that, but that was really the
Finished with a massive mic drop.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was
What's your take,
Looking.
Dan? Because it's your moment.
That was going to be my moment, like my one of my 2 moments also. I have never sweated so much while sitting still, except when playing any Souls-like game.
Oh my god.
Die.
And I was trying so hard not to get flustered, because when I'm put on the spot, I can sometimes get flustered, and I'm like, no, this is my character. I have to do justice to them, and they have a decent charisma score. I have an okay charisma score. I never expected it to go to court. I just thought it was going to be, oh yeah, no, this is the evidence. Okay, he goes to jail, all this stuff, and I'm forgetting the fact that there is a system of checks and balances, sometimes unfairly weighed against, the underdogs.
And it just wasn't the courtroom battle as it's, it was the face-to-face stuff, but it was that implication that goes the panel, the judges.
Yeah,
they're really stacked against us.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure that we were going to get there, and then I was like, he would have the helm on him, and the public was allowed in because we did the little whisper, thing out into the city of Baldur's Gate, to be like this is something very important. Let's get the public involved, and this can't just be a decision of the higher ups of the city. And
public opinion.
Yeah.
Swayed it.
Not just the public opinion, but they know more than anyone what the elite do, and just having that moment of putting on the helm and the public going absolutely fucking ape shit, and having the bag of necessity have that truth serum come out, so Redhelm could finally get that closure. Because if he just let the people tear his father apart, he wouldn't have got that closure of him admitting that what he did, to what he did, and why he did it. He wasn't so much looking for his father to remorse for what he never expected his father to be like that, because his father was the complete and total
good read on the character, I think.
Yeah, no, you played him so well. I was like, oh, I want this person to die, and then just being like, as soon as he got that, he realized he didn't need to defend this person, this piece of human filth. This person wasn't worth defending, no matter what. And then just having that moment where it was just like, and then I walk off into the crowd. That was 100% peak D&D for me.
But this was 6 weeks after the Capitol riot too, and it felt really real. A little too real.
A little bit too real. Different reasons. Definitely different reasons.
I think it was certainly surprising to us, if we're talking surprises. That is.
Oh yeah.
I think we were caught off guard with just how quickly the world was mirroring the real world, and trying. You could shy away from that, or you lean into it a little bit and be like, okay, look, we acknowledge that it's a little too similar, but hey guys, this is just where this story is going, and it needed to.
Yeah.
It was inevitable within that context.
I mean, I like to think that you guys were on the opposite side of the Capitol riots, right? There's one side that's trying to go against justice and trying to, create upheaval of a system that's for the people already. And another one where you've got a group of people in power that are against the common people and against the common good. and trying to effectively displace a dictatorship. I think that's, at least in the setting, something that it has always been rising and bubbling under the surface of Baldur's Gate.
Exactly. Thank God they don't have gerrymandering in Baldur's Gate because there's no way the minority should have the power. And my absolute favorite actual battle thing was fighting the goldfish. I fucking love that because
So weird.
My boss tuned into that, and then the next shift that I work, he's like, "You were fighting a goldfish?" And like he has no concept of D&D whatsoever, and I was just like, "Holy crap!" Like
that was awesome. That was one of my favorites. If I had to put like my favorite creative fight, it was when you guys all got shrunk down to be fed to Xanathar's goldfish. I think it was just for me. I was like, this game allows you to do anything.
And I remember
Raise
though,
your hand
because
if you got eaten by the goldfish.
but I remember because like Dan afterwards he found a gem and he's like, "Oh, can I have this?" And Rogan's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And then Dan's like, "I can bring people back to life now because I have my stone." Remember that?
No. I got some diamonds. I don't
Yes.
think I remember what that gem. No, that gem was a thing that I gave to Zim.
Yeah.
That was the Eye of Galore.
No, I got two.
No,
two.
no.
No, you
I
got
can't
two.
even
There was
walk.
two others.
There was
a,
one that
there
was the stone, and the other
Yeah.
one was
A
something.
fire resistance.
No, it was
What
out
about
of
the
a.
diamond?
Oh yeah, it was that
Out of a
funny
Mechazoid
stone
thing.
you guys never were able to get to the bottom of. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some stones that were powering like AI type things.
Mm.
Yeah.
So much stuff we didn't do.
Robin,
Yeah,
how
we
much of
did
the
do-
goldfish thing is a Waterdeep staple versus a mind palace?
That was completely my own invention in that moment.
Because I know
Love
know that Xanathar within the lore has a pet goldfish, and you do not fuck with the goldfish. So that's where I thought it was interesting.
Did we kill it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
That's why
You
he came
popped it
after
up
us.
from the inside of it.
Oh, that's right. And he's like, "Who killed my goldfish?"
That's exactly how he sounded.
Yeah, that was my interpretation of it. Yeah.
that's
pretty
what set
much.
things in motion with
I just-
Xanathar.
So like, there's a point where we deviated from what I would consider base game Waterdeep before we really took that left turn. I spoke a bit about it on the stream, but there in some of the enhanced editions of the game, some of those like add-ons you can get on the DM's Guild. One of them suggested that these mansions and these hideouts for each of these main villains in the story are all so interesting, and in the main Waterdeep book, you only ever get to experience one of them depending on what the season of the world is. It's sort of one of the deciding factors. And so early on, I decided that I would take that into effect so that you would all be able to, instead of there just being one stone of galore that was the MacGuffin, the stone had those 3 sockets that each had to be filled by an Eye of Galore, which only when all 4 of those pieces were together would it become sort of the thing that was going to enable you to find the Dragon Cage. And I think that was the first foray into that, was obviously going into Xanathar's lair and going in to try and find the stone there. And it was in that moment it was really funny because the first one you went after, you ended up just like destroying any possibility to get any of the others based on how that occurred. But Xanathar being so protective of his fish, why wouldn't he store one of the other most valuable things he has with the thing that he'd never let anything bad happen to? And that was sort of how you found them both together like that.
It's interesting
And
that
nothing
you
bad happened to
played.
the fish.
Sorry.
Nothing bad happened to the fish.
No,
No,
that's
it's
what
fine.
happened in the making of this production. It's interesting that you say that you took that from like the DM Guild view of, hey, look, there's 3 houses here that might be really worth exploring, and you wouldn't normally get to do it. And then some of the things that you've revealed else or in other catch-ups, it's like, yeah, look, you guys didn't bite at the political stuff in Waterdeep. It can be a city of intrigue and political madness. And there we are wanting to just beat the shit out of things. And that was where you had to adapt the campaign to work a little bit more with, look, these guys are a little bit more combat hungry. The politics aren't going to be as interesting to them, and therefore would strike the delicate balance.
No, it was very interesting, and we obviously spent a lot of time kind of feeling out the group. Us being new to each other and us being new to the character. But there came a point where I think we found a nice cadence, and it just allowed us to just double down on what worked for us and what you all enjoyed. And at the end of the day, as a DM, you just try and find that. And hopefully, as we go into the next campaign, it's given me a starting point where I can, I already know what you guys as players like, and so hopefully we can hit the ground running with something that's going to be super epic for us all, and I can't wait to share it with you all and as well as the stream. So
What's
I think
it going to be called, DM?
it is The Call of the Seven Rings, set in a world in which magic has only just come to bear after millennia of its absence, resulting in some interesting magic inventions, people, all rushing to learn more about magic, and, blacksmiths suddenly being able to breathe fire, and all sorts of things that will be interesting for us all to explore.
Hands up if you're Mother is Dragon in this one.
Oh my! Robert actually said I couldn't have anything dragon related in this campaign.
It was
to
bad.
start off with.
Literally every single
vetoed
person
me
is
having
having
a pet
dragons
dragon.
except you.
I was actually gonna have a pet dragon.
I have
like,
2 pet
nope.
dragons.
As
I have
a
5.
As a separate note, Robin, I love this idea that magic is just emerging and people are starting to tinker with it. And the general fantasy book call out for the chat. But Robin, I was recommending that book around kind of like quasi AI, where magic it's essentially coding, and people can convince doors that they are impenetrable, and then hackers are trying to code their way around it. So like doors are going, it's kind of like they've got personalities, or they're imbued with personalities. I'm as strong as stone, no one can budge me. And then it's the hacking way around it is like convincing stone is really light and can be lifted really easily, and just basically breaking the physics of the world that's hard coded into the world.
And I think the cool part of
Matrix.
like the setting is that each person is going to have their own approach to utilizing magic. So, because of the fact that there won't be an established art form for it, you'll have people that will be, that's the way they've been able to channel magic is using these sort of rule-based systems, and others will have such a intuitive approach to it where they've sort of, followed nature their whole lives and been in forests and have learned how to just channel some of that energy back into that environment. And I think we're going to see these different approaches kind of clash as the world tries to figure out what's a proper use of magic and what isn't. And I think that'll be really fun.
And there'll be some people who roll dice, and depending on the outcome of the dice, their magic will work or not.
Yeah, it's amazing how life imitates art imitates life.
And is it the case, perhaps, that NPCs could be created based on subscribers that want to turn up to the show? And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
that's going to be
we'll
amazing.
see if you subscribe to the channel. We will make sure that there is definitely an NPC that will be named after you as we head into the next campaign.
And any subs that do happen, all the money that we earn goes to improving the stream quality, as well as a portion of all funds that we raise go towards Beyond Blue, a massive organisation supporting mental health here in Australia.
Good call.
Good call. At any rate, it's been a pleasure to hang out with you all again tonight, and really great to chat through all the bits and pieces that we explored as a party.
It's been very
And,
civil tonight.
It has been no murdering. which is
I don't
great.
know why.
Next week is it's game on, bitches.
It's getting. You're all
Yeah.
I'm gonna
down.
die straight away.
Next week, level 20. I've got to spend like an hour and a half upgrading my
Yeah, I know,
character.
right?
What spell now? What spell now?
I'm
What?
reading through
Hey,
all like
oh my
what you have
Jez.
to do.
Jez, I wouldn't spend too long on it, mate. You're going to be the first one down.
It's just,
Yeah.
just keep it as it is.
Do you know
what, though?
Do you know what though? Just quickly, I really wish I had found a way to get this magical ethereal bow out of my dream, Ren's dreams, because that would have just taken you motherfuckers all out of the equation. I'm
We'll
sure.
also need a
Maybe
moment
I'll
of
wish
silence
that
for
you get
Mist.
both.
A moment of
No, Mist is
I like where
alive.
your head's at.
Mist is back. Mist
No,
is back.
no,
Mist
no,
is
no.
rocking.
During the 20, during the ballerina. So like,
Oh, Miss is
do
gonna
we
die
keep
straight
Mist
away.
alive
No, Miss is
after
gonna die
Ren
straight
is
away.
dead? Or...
Yeah.
No,
I
you're all
don't
Mist
gonna
is
die
very
know,
straight
I
straight
feel like
away.
puppies.
It's
He's
non,
gonna
it's
take Red's
non-canonical.
nuts and
It's
all.
fine.
Seriously, Ren and Soraya are gonna die straight away. And then it's just
Bring
gonna
a book
be
to read.
the heavy hitters.
So just
Bring
Bear
a
and
book
Zim.
to read.
That's what I'm hearing.
Sis, we're taking out Red first.
Yeah, I'll see you
No.
about. Oh, I cannot wait for you guys to jump to the combat encounter. It's gonna be beautiful.
How is
Claymores,
she gonna
Claymores
DM
in the
that,
side,
though?
like.
Wait and see. Wait and see.
Oh god,
It'll be
you're gonna throw
amazing.
shit at us, aren't you?
Oh, well, like what's a world without some dangers outside of each other?
Do we know each other in this? Because it's non-canonical.
I mean, as much as you want to, I
I
don't
don't
think
know,
I'm
the
gonna
word.
force you guys to kill your friends. But
Oh. We can team up,
Okay.
but Soraya, you're dying first. Just saying.
No, I thought we decided it was Ren.
What?
I never said Ren. I said Soraya and Ren, and I'm just choosing that Soraya is going to be the first one.
You to figure it
Tune
out.
in next week for the
Fireball.
Hunger Games.
I'm polymorph.
Yeah.
Deep edition.
I have amazing spells, not including them.
all right, guys, I gotta head to
All right.
bed.
Alright.
So I'm gonna sign off
Bye.
tonight.
Legends, think legends of
Thanks for
God.
joining us,
Yeah,
everyone.
we-
We'll see you next
Thanks for the
Thursday for
raid
level
earlier.
20
Bye.
showdown.
See ya.
Bye.
Same time next week.
Oh my god, I was actually going to say bye on our channel. I mean, our chat.
Alright,